That's what blows up most people when it comes to the sports betting space. So what's going on, Lock Talk family? It's your boy Jason, and I'm here for a different video. Sports betting education right now. We're going to talk about what bankroll management is. It's probably the number one most important thing besides just good picks. Because even if you're winning, when you do lose, that's what blows up most people when it comes to the sports betting space. So let me go through what bankroll management is and how you can implement it if you want to take your betting seriously. So I'm going to use Microsoft Excel to present it, but let me just go through it, man. So what is the definition of sports betting, or of bankroll management? It refers to the strategy of managing your betting funds to maximize long-term profitability, but also minimize risk, because at the end of the day, no one's perfect. No one wins at 100%. No one even wins at 70% on decent odds. It's impossible, literally mathematically impossible over the long run. So like I always say, one of my sayings is, even if something hits at 70% over 1,000 games, you're going to lose 300 times. And a lot of people are unable to manage when they lose or they go to some type of like controversy or difficulty. So bankroll management helps so you never lose your entire bankroll or the money you have to bet with. Again, it helps better stay in the game longer, because at the end of the day, you catch good trends, bad trends, good streaks, bad streaks. But as long as you can stay alive during the bad streaks or in the game, you will see the other side, as long as you're making good bets, positive expected value, things like that. I will go over more of those concepts in other videos, but right now, that's the main thing, man. This is what bankroll management is. It's probably the most important thing in my eyes, because everyone can win, everyone can lose, but this will help you manage the winning properly and the losing. So again, guys, why do it? A lot of people just focus on the bets themselves, but why should you do it? So protect your funds, prevents you from losing your entire bankroll in a few bets. Most people do this, right? They take, let's say, $1,000, right? And they just bet like, 500 on one game, 100 on another game, et cetera, et cetera. Like it just like goes crazy. There's no system to how they're betting, and they just bet on their most random things. They bet on any type of odds. They see like, oh, they see a minus 200. They're like, oh shit, let me go bet $500 on this, and on the plus 150, they go bet 100. I mean, that's not the way you got to do it, man. You have to bet systematically. You have to have a system, and most of the time, what ends up happening is the one people think is like, the most sure. This ends up becoming a zero, and this ends up winning. So they're up, they're down essentially from 1,000. They're down $350 from that point. So they're down to $650. And most people they panic and they try to go, oh, I need to get back to $1,000. Let me go bet 300 on this other bet. You need a system, and you need to be able to properly manage how you're betting. So it promotes discipline, encourages discipline betting, and prevents emotional decision making. Again, like I just said in that example I just gave to you right there, it happens a lot, man. Like when you're winning, it's all good. It's really easy to manage yourself. It's when you lose is where a lot of people get into a lot of trouble. So what it does, right? The way I like to do unit management is to really break down my chunks of my bankroll into even amounts and to bet the same amount every single game. So for example, let's say I had, again, a $1,000 bankroll, right? And I want to, let's say, typically it's going to be on the next slide, but let's say we bet 1 to 5% per bet based on $1,000 bankroll. That's anywhere from $10 to $50. Let's make it simple. Let's make it $10. So let's say I like 3 games, 1, 2, 3, and then I bet $10 on each one. And let's say for simplicity's sake, they're all plus 100 bets, right? So the multiplier is only 1. Let's say this one loses and the other 2 win, so we win 20 minus 10. So then all in all, we're up, from our $30 bankroll. I mean, from our $30 bets, we make $20, right? Essentially. Again, guys, this is how it's done. I mean, this is what I would do, because obviously, look, you're going to say 30, but you have to add the $10 on top of it. But yeah, whatever. Look, this is what I would do if I was betting, right? This is exactly what I would do. Break it down just like that, and then you can move forward from there. And it ensures that you continue betting even if you're doing a losing streak. Because, for example, right, if everyone just bets, let's say you took your $1,000, right, and you bet it on just one single day. There's an amount you want to bet for over a long period of time. An entire football season, an entire baseball season, half a year, an entire year. Obviously, you could increase the amount that's in there or decrease it depending on what's happening in your life or your betting. But you know, we bet $10 no matter what, no matter how many games there are, no matter if the Yankees are playing the Red Sox, no matter if like it's the Super Bowl, we bet the same amount every single time. And that's going to be shown in right here. So unit sizing, what decides what percentage you're supposed to bet per bet? So in my opinion, 1 to 5% is the book standard. So again, if we did an example, $1,000, right? Oops, my bad, not percentage. $1,000, and we want to bet 1 to 5%. Again, it's 10. So you do 1%, 5. And if you want to do that, so this is the amount you would bet depending on this amount. So what determines if you should bet $10 or $50 if you do 1 to 5%? It really depends on how aggressive you want to be. Another way I like to look at it is how many chances do we have until we lose all our money? If we do 1% units, you have to lose 100 times in a row, excluding you laying juice. That's a whole other thing. But let's say we betted $10 every single time. We would have to lose 100 games in a row in order for us to lose our entire bankroll. If anything, right? If you're doing it just for fun, at least you could probably survive an entire football season, an entire NBA season, an entire MLB season. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, look, it probably happens, but you're not going to lose 100 games in a row. You're going to be winning and losing, winning and losing. Maybe you, let's say you don't do any research, you're not the best bettor in the world. Maybe you lose 60% of your games. You still won't lose your entire bankroll, and you can have some fun along the way, right? But with that being said, that's not including juice. I know people are going to come up here, oh, but what if you have juice and you're betting $10 and you only win like, you know, $6? All right, look, I'm just making it simple for everyone, for you to understand. On the 5% bankroll bet, right, or per unit bet, you have 20 chances to lose your entire bankroll. Much, much easier, right? But of course, if you win, you increase your bankroll at a much higher rate. It is a slower playing game. It is a more aggressive game. It really depends on your skill level and your risk appetite, in my opinion. So again, risk management. Understand the risks involved in each bet and adjust your wager size accordingly. So again, right, we'll go over this maybe in the next slide, but you know, some bets you might want to do more than 1 unit. You might want to do 2, 3 units. But obviously, it depends on the percentage per bet, right? Because you might see guys on the internet saying 10 unit bet. If you're doing a 5% per unit bet, that's 50% of your bankroll. You literally could lose half of all your money in one single bet. Of course, are there times that maybe you could do it? Yeah, for sure. It's not my style, but you know, there may be some bet that you're like, wow, this is a super high confidence bet. You want to do a 5 unit bet, 10 unit bet. But again, depending on what type of percentage you're doing per bet, that can go from anywhere. So for example, let's say you want to do a 10 unit bet, right? In this example, this will be $100 in a 1% bet, but this will be $500. Remember, we're starting with $1,000. This one single 10 unit bet could, you know, if we win $100, yeah, that'd be nice. That increases our bankroll by 10% if we bet a plus 100 odds bet. But if we were to lose the 5% one, right, you lose half your bankroll, man. I mean, it's gonna be hard for you to come back and just to get back to the $1,000. Because again, guys, we're not gonna be betting 500 again on another 10 unit random bet. We're just gonna keep on betting our 5%, our 5%, our 5% because we gotta be disciplined. The number one thing in sports betting that's probably the most important among any other thing, besides good picks and even the bankroll manager, just the discipline to follow the plan. Win or lose, we bet the same amount every single game with this unit count system. You don't increase it just because you're doing really good, and you don't decrease it because you're doing bad. Maybe you take a break if you're doing bad, and maybe, you know, you up it up a little bit if your bankroll increases by a certain amount. We could talk about that in another slide. But yeah, that's what I do. Again, you avoid chasing losses. Stick to unit size and avoid increasing your bet to recover from losses. I know it's really hard, but that's how people really lose it all, man. It's like they take one big out. Maybe you did a 3 unit bet on a 5% per unit bet. You lose $150, and yeah, and now you know you're down to what is it, $850, and you feel real sad. Like, ah, man, you know it's gonna take me a long time to get back this $150. I gotta win 3 bets if I do 1 unit bets per bet. But hey, look, again, you want to just be in the game. If you're making good advantage bets, you're beating lines, you're getting positive EV, you're getting, you know, strong plays, you will edge out at some point, right? It may take you a little bit longer, it might not come right in the beginning, but it will happen at some point. But again, it's discipline, bro. It's discipline. You just don't want to blow yourself up, and this whole thing right here helps you do that. Gives you a framework to accomplish that. So again, it's hard, I know, But there are strategies. Look, I mean, let me see. I forgot to. There's flat betting, percentage betting, Kelly criterion. I mean, again, flat betting is what I like to do. You bet the same amount regardless of the confidence level. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Obviously, I think if there are plays that you like a lot more, maybe you just bet that one game or those 2 games. You don't have to bet 10 games a day, 20 games a day. The whole goal, in my opinion, in sports betting is to make money on more money on less bets. So, for example, I'd rather bet just 1 or 2 games a day than try to spread out all my units across 50 bets, because you can only have an edge on so many games, in my opinion. Just the facts of the math. But percentage betting, better percentage of your bankroll adjusts as it grows or shrinks. You could definitely do that. I say, like, you can increase your unit sizing, for example. So when to increase, in my opinion, right? Let's say you have $1,000 bank. Let's see, $1,000 bankroll, and let's say it was for, we're doing 2.5%, right? So 2.5% times 1,000. This will be $25 per bet. But when in the world can I increase? Because a lot of people might be like, "Hey, man, you know, $25 ain't nothing to me. I'm a big baller. Like, it doesn't really affect me at all." Well, in my opinion, right? If we 2x or 3x it, then I think it makes sense to maybe increase our bankroll accordingly. So, for example, let's say we do really good. We have a really good NFL season or baseball season. We go from $1,000 to $2,000 on 2.5% unit sizing. That would be about 40 units up in a given time period, right? If you were to do it like in that fashion, 40 units up, you doubled your bankroll, and now you can go increase your unit sizing from $25 to $50 because it still only represents only 2% in your bankroll. If you maybe we really killed it, you know, in one of these seasons, maybe the entire year, we go from 1,000 to 3,000. Now our bet sizing is $75 instead of $25. I think you can get to a point where, let's say you're rocking with, let's say, like a $50,000 bankroll. Even if, like, let's say I increased my bankroll to, like, let's say 100 grand, I might even increase this amount from 1,250 to, you know, 2,500, just because 1,250 is a really big amount no matter who you are, in my opinion. And if you're really good, you're going to start getting banned and taken off books if you're really killing them for that much. But, you know, again, is what I would do to increase my unit sizing if I'm doing well. If you're doing poorly, I'm really against the fact of decreasing unit size. I'm more in favor of taking a break, maybe stepping away for a few days or a week just to cool down. But I would say, like, maybe just instead of increasing the percentage, just increasing the amount you're betting per bet. So maybe instead of 1 unit, you're doing half a unit until you get back in the flow, you get into a good mindset. But yeah, guys, look, this is what bankroll management is. I think it's the most important thing, once again. And then to conclude it, man, look, set your bankroll limit. The way I like to do is really simple. I did it on a reel a long time ago, but I think it makes sense for me to do it here. So you might ask me, okay, like, you gave me a bunch of examples. How much should I be betting with? Look, this is not financial advice. This is my personal opinion. Let's say I'm just going to use round numbers. I know not everyone has this type of money, but let's say you had $100,000, right? Let's say we had $100,000 of net worth across all our assets, across all the debt, all the assets we have. Maybe we have some stocks, we have some bonds, we have some cash saved. We own some stuff, but $100,000 is what we have. I think sports betting realistically is a very risky venture. It takes a lot of time. So I think maybe at most you should have only maybe 5% of your net worth in sports betting. So in this example, you do 100,000 times 5%. That'll be a $5,000 bankroll to start yourself off, right? Of course, can you make it more or less if you're really good or you're really confident? Yeah, for sure. You can increase this to 10% if you want. But I think, like, if you're investing in really risky things like crypto, like really crazy crypto, new cryptos, or penny stocks, or you're doing venture investing, that should really only be about 5% of your net worth in those areas. Sports betting could be a part of those things. So 5%, then we want to do, let's say, 2.5% per bet as a unit size, right? As a unit size. So we'll do 5% times 2.5%. We'll do $125 bets. I think that's super easy and, you know, really makes sense. If you lost this whole $5,000, you're not, you know, unable to pay rent. You're not unable to live a daily life. Like at the end of the day, this is supposed to be supplemental. Not everyone can make this their main income or a significant part of their income. It's a very difficult venture. So I'd say we want to treat this accordingly. If you're just like, a normal person, you want to have some side income. I think $125, you want a few bets here and there. And let's say you had a, for example, a 60 unit year, right? Let's say you had a 60 unit year. 60 units is a ton of units. 60 units times $125, that's $7,500, right? I mean, the only way you can make this amount of money, right, on 100K net worth is if the stock market, which it does almost every year, go up on average, or not every year, but on average, across all the losses and all the ups and downs of the stock market of like the S&P 500, making 7.5% will equate you to this. You could do this in 1 year just by having a $5,000 bankroll. Having good picks, having proper bankroll managers, you can easily go 60 units up. I mean, last year I was up 70-something units. The year before that I was up 120 units. This year I already eclipsed breaking 60-something units, and I'm only in August. Of course, I could lose throughout the year, but basketball and football are coming up. I really expect to really run it up even more. So I'm looking at another 100-unit year to end off 2024. But again, this amount, right, is incredible, man. To make $7,500 on a $5,000 bankroll, that's 150% return right there. I mean, there's no other things you could do. Obviously, is this passive? Absolutely not. It's not passive at all, but it is a way for you to take some small money and make some big money, man, because now you increase your units, your bankroll by that much. Now your bankroll is from 5 G's to 1,250, right? And this is the example I want to show you of how your bankroll can really increase. Now you're going from, if you want to do this type of math, you go to $312 units to keep that same unit size. We already doubled our bankroll, like I said in my example. So now we can do $300 units. You can even do $200 units. And if you have another year like this, right? Let's say we had a 50 unit year, right? 50 unit year. So we do the same thing, right? We make $15,000 in year 2, right? We make $15,000. That's incredible, man. And this is just from starting from a 5K unit count. Of course, most people lose all their money, right? I'm not saying this is like typical. This is hard. Just to make money alone in sports betting is very difficult. But this is an example. If you can use proper unit management and a bunch of other discipline and having good picks and be able to ward off the bad times, if you're making, good decisions and able to stay in the game, essentially, this is possible, man. This is very possible. It's over a 2-year period. In order for you to take $5,000 and put it in the stock market and go from 5,000 to 15 grand, it's going to take many years to go 3x, man. I'm telling you. But hey, you guys can do what you want. I'm not saying you got to do both. I'm not one of these guys that's saying, oh, only sports bet. Don't invest in the stock market. I am not saying that at all. I'm definitely that type of guy. I invest heavily, but I also obviously, of course, sports bet as well. All right, and then the last thing, look, for all these haters that come out here, you got to track your bets, man. I don't care how good or bad you are. If there's any guy that's telling you, oh man, I don't track my bets, run far away, man. You have to track your bets, all the wins, all the losses. How else can you manage and keep track of how well you're doing, right? Track your bets, and unit counts help you do that. Again, it keeps you consistent. I mean, keeps you with a plan, how much you're betting whether you're winning or losing. That's super important. And then again, guys, like I did in the last one, you can review and adjust how much you're betting. If you're killing it and you had a really great season, a really great year, you can go increase your unit count and then make those wins even more impactful onto your bankroll and the money you're making. So guys, again, that's what bankroll management is. I went through a straight through rundown. In my opinion, that's what I would do if I was sports betting and just starting out. Have a bankroll management system. And if you have any questions and you've been liking this type of content, shoot a subscribe button on this YouTube video so you can come up here and get some more educational content and picks from me. But until the next one, guys, I'll see you over there.